Good day, everybody. It is Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoy this video, you should subscribe for more RWBY videos. You should check out our Patreon if you guys want to support videos like these, if you want to see videos like these early, and you guys should join our Discord server if you guys want to talk with us more. And today we are going to be talking about Semblance. I have seen a lot of conflicting opinions about Semblance. I don't care. I fucking love Semblance. All my homies love Semblance. Right? I support Semblance, and I think it makes so much sense.
Oh god, I think my greatest thing I've ever seen today is you using the phrase homies.
And so, anyway, with that in mind, we know that Semblance is at least reading other people's emotions, but
I think now it's kind of, and I see it's like people grow, and we've seen that. Like RWBY used to just go fast, but now she can split herself and bring more people.
And so the evolution of semblances, first of all, is something that has always been confirmed in the show, right? Like Ren said, semblances can evolve. Ozpin said semblances can evolve. We always knew that they could evolve, but people seem to think that this is too much of a jump in evolution. But I'm gonna tell you why, and it's because of a YouTube comment that we got, and I'll possibly post on the screen if it's still there. But this person basically said that it's not seeing emotion, it's seeing repressed emotion. So Ren went from repressing emotions to stay hidden from the grim, to calming yourself, to being able to also see what emotions are repressed, right? Because a lot of people were saying, this doesn't make sense, this is too big of a jump, but it's really not. He always was able to repress the emotions, now he's just also seeing what is being repressed. And this also plays into the fact that I know he wasn't focusing on Yang specifically, but Yang is in the shot with Elm and Vine, but he doesn't see anything in her. Because at least in that moment, Yang is speaking freely, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't think that Yang has any repressed feelings at that current moment, right?
It would be funny if they went over her and it was a bunch of rainbow petals, and it was
just
okay, that's what you're repressing.
Well, but yeah, she didn't have anything, right? Because she wasn't repressed in that scene, but it's what everyone is not saying, and I feel like this is a very important distinction with Semblance, and that's our theory about it. I'm not saying that it's right, but it would be a evolution that makes a lot of sense because it's just one step further. It's not this giant leap into Ren is a mind reader now, right? It's just seeing the emotions that have been repressed.
And even if it turns out that the repressed thing is a step too far, I think that broadly we agree that it's not breaking the code of Semblance, because it still has to do fundamentally with emotion.
Yeah, it's still what Ren was always sort of able to do. He just can now see what he's also doing. And I think in that case, right, we see Marrow, for example, he doesn't say out loud that he's not into doing that, he doesn't say that out loud. It's something that Ren sees in him, and you have other characters like that too. The only thing is that Vine is very, the colors, we need to talk about what the colors mean, and we'll get to that, but we see Vine, and Vine is very calm, and so I do wonder about how that is a repressed emotion. I wonder if the idea with Vine is he's not expressing that he's the most okay with what they're doing, or the most okay with this situation, and that's why it's considered a repressed one, because you see that one in Winter as well. She has green about some things, and so in terms of what each one means, I think it's safe to say that green is that sort of you're okay sort of thing.
Or just maybe acceptance.
Yeah, acceptance, right? I think that's a good way to say
Winter
it.
Vine
has accepted it, but Vine hasn't said out loud that he has, because of maybe what the others will think. That could be how it's repressed or kept inside. I think that blue, people were pulling out the DC universe color code. I don't know what it is.
It's the Green Lantern, so
Sure.
I think the different lantern colors. Famous fairy tale of the Green Lantern. Everyone's favorite. I remember when Pip Pop used to tell it to me before he put me to bed.
Yeah, I don't
the German
think they're following the DC scale.
I think it's more like a mood ring
Marrow,
thing. Right?
Yeah, I feel like Marrow, because people said blue is hopeful, hopeful things would work out. I don't think so. I don't think
more
Marrow's
sadness.
I think
right?
Marrow's sad. I think it's very green, accepting at least, whatever. Red, you're angry and frustrated. Orange, you're frustrated. Whatever, right? I don't think that blue is hopeful. I think Marrow's actually upset.
I think he's
Marrow's
literally
sad.
blue.
Yeah, right? And so I feel like that Marrow, it's supposed to be sad. Again, this is just our interpretation. I would really like it and appreciate if the writers could could just tell us what the emotions are supposed to be, because this is gonna be some discourse in the fandom the entire hiatus. Oh, there is one more thing I want to say. People think that green, instead of being calm, may be like envious in some capacity,
maybe.
that it may be jealousy of, you know, the bond that, like, maybe like Winter is jealous of the bond that like Team RWBY has, or like Aesop's are jealous, but I don't really see Vine being that type at the moment,
no,
right? So
I do
it's
think
Vine's whole thing that's throwing me off, but it did seem like a calmness, right? It seemed like very calm.
I think with
Petals.
him is that with it where everyone else is like conflicted and having trouble, you know, Vine is very much so still on the mission, and he's not, you know, compelled to stray from the mission. Yeah,
I just wanted to mention it, but But until then, right, I think it's more of a sadness situation. I don't think they would copy the Green Lantern color code, is basically what I'm trying to tell you, right?
I think it's more mood. I also, what I found really interesting beyond the color is that also the way the petals move is interesting. Like you noticed with Elm, she was really angry, so they were red, but they were also
up, right?
and they were very fast. And what I thought was so,
and the calm was going like this, and the blue was going like that.
But,
like I think that was good.
With other people's emotions, they were everywhere. Like it was floating their entire body, and they were moving very quickly. But with Vine, that's why I think he was so calm, is that they were moving very slowly, and they were very condensed in like an orbit around his like sort of center. And I think that communicates he's calm, he's accepted what he has to do, and he's centered.
Yeah.
Which is, I find that very interesting. It's a very good way of representing it visually.
You see Winter, and Winter has all these different things going on. So it's not just the color, but it's also the movement. Yeah, Winter's just in chaos. Now let's talk about my favorite part about Ren Semblance, which is who he's gonna look at, okay? Because I know some people are like, oh, like Ren is basically now a mood ring. Like it's a plot contrivance, so like he can call out how characters are feeling without having to show it. I don't think it's gonna be like that. Like with Neo, we already know how Neo fucking feels, right? Like, you know what I mean? They communicated it already, so I don't feel like it's a cop-out if he looks at Neo and sees that she's like angry or sad or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
whatever
also don't
Neo
think
is in that moment.
This,
yeah, of course, right?
Know?
Like in my opinion, I think that Neo isn't angry as much anymore as she's very upset. Like she's very sad.
She's
right?
a murderous mood.
Yeah, so I feel like that Ren would see the murderous mood, and I don't feel like that's a cop-out.
Those are some homicidal cherry petals.
We already knew that Neo felt that way, so I feel like he's really only gonna show people, like we already had that underlying knowledge that the characters felt that way deep inside, especially like I think with Hair, like I think that, you know, them not being sad about Clover, it was obvious that they were sad about Clover when they go see his body, right? And so it was never like, oh, it's this big surprise that Hair cares about people. She just pretends that she doesn't, but she does, like deep inside. We already knew that. Ren is just calling out what we already know. So I don't think it would be a big deal if he looks at Neo, but do I want him to look at Neo? Yes, I want him to look at Neo so bad. And I feel like looking at Neo, right? If someone could finally understand how she feels, maybe things would get better or something. Like, maybe we had this whole idea, like, Neo, well, at least defect from being one of Cinder's lackeys at this point, right? Because I feel like that she's starting to realize that she has gotten into way more than just getting revenge from Roman, and I feel like Neo will leave, but I feel like that Ren could maybe help Neo leave. And I feel like the other thing is that there's an interesting parallel between Hazel and Neo in a really weird way. Osmond was saying to Hazel, you wanted, like, revenge, and has this helped you, right? So I feel like that there's a direct parallel to Hazel realizing that it has not healed the pain that he feels inside, and that for Neo the same thing will be true, that getting revenge on RWBY or Cinder won't really help her. Maybe Cinder, because Cinder is really the reason, like Cinder and Salem are the reason that Roman died in the first place, technically, right? So maybe that would help, but going after RWBY, like that's not the constructive goal. It would be stopping the evil in the world, and I feel like that Hazel is gonna realize that too, that stopping Salem's evil would be how he avenges his sister in a constructive way, and that Neo could also realize that. So I think that there's a parallel in between those two characters, because they both want revenge. And so if we could only get that through to Neo, how we've gotten it through to Hazel, because Hazel's like, I feel like Hazel's like 1 or 2 scenes away from just fucking off, and so is Emerald, right?
I also like the idea, like what you kind of mentioned there, that sort of nuance where, you know, he doesn't need to suddenly accept Ozpin or like him or like the system that he's created. Yeah. But it also doesn't mean you have to like
support
get
Salem.
chummy with the genocidal evil queen.
And I think that it it would be interesting for Ren, because Ren is going in the whale, right?
Oh,
so I think the most interesting thing that could happen is that they're like, they're sneaking, that's my sneaking noise. They're sneaking by, and he looks at Salem, and it's just petals. Like, you can't even see Salem. Like, he looks at Salem, and it's just, petals, right? Like, it's just crazy, because she's been alive for longer than you can comprehend. That's what Ozpin said. Like, how do you quantify all of those feelings? And so I feel like that could lead into what I think is gonna be basically the idea of the show. Like, I don't think that they are going to kill Salem and then everything's fine. Hurrah. Like, I don't think that that's how they're gonna go. I think that RWBY has always been on the more emotional side of things, and I don't want it to be like a power of friendship type thing, but it's gonna be a thing, at least in my head, where they teach Salem the lesson of life and break her, like, they'll basically break Salem's curse, and then she'll be able to die peacefully, and that's how they resolve this, because I feel like that just killing Salem would not be as effective. You know what I mean? Like, them breaking her curse so she can die and helping her emotionally is, I think, where the show is gonna go. And I think that the first step in figuring that out is gonna be Ren looking at her and realizing that, you know, Tyrion thinks that Salem's a being of destruction, and, like, she kind of is because she dumped into the Grim Pool. But if they could just break that destruction part, like, Salem under that is still, like, the woman who, you know, like, lost her kids and, like, her husband. And yeah, a lot of people think that RWBY may, like, silver eye the destruction out of her, and that Salem could still be vengeful, right? Because even when she's human, before she dumps herself into the Grim Pool, she's still very, like, oh, I'm gonna bring an army over here and tell you what's what, right? Because the Grim Pool happens after that. However, maybe she won't, like, want destruction on the global scale, right? And so I feel like just the first step in helping Salem emotionally could be Ren seeing that underneath the grim part of Salem, there's just someone who's hurting. And if we could get her not to hurt anymore, she would stop and she'd be able to die, right? Like, like, I feel like that Salem just wants to die.
Just needs
right?
therapy.
Salem just wants to die, and she just wants to be with her kids, and she's just tired of being alive. And so that's why she's destroying everything, because she thinks that if she brings the gods back, they'll kill her and the world, because if the world stops turning, her curse is broken. And, you know, there's a good way for the world to stop turning, and that's the gods to explode it. So I feel like that could be a really good capacity for Ren's Semblance, is that whole thing. Like, I feel like that could be really good for him to see just petals everywhere.
I also think it would be a great scene, like, if the emotion is so powerful that it shocks him, that he starts, like, crying or something terrible.
Yeah, like even, like, he can't
for him.
handle it, right? He can't, it's like he can't even look at it,
I kind of want them to up the sort of, like, Lovecraftian nature of Salem, that she's so terrible that you can't even, like, comprehend it. I think if he were to, like, get a glimpse of that, like, you know, I don't want him to, like, actually claw his eyes out or something terrible, but, like, just is so shocked that he's, like, white and, like, pale in the face.
I think that could be really good. Like, Ren is just, like, traumatized.
Speechless,
I think that would be good.
And that could be, like, a good moment for, like, maybe if Hazel is involved in some degree, like, oh my god, she wants to die.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to, like, organize their plan in the future, like you predicted.
And then organize also maybe Hazel and Emerald leaving as well, right? Because Ren could see in them, like, hey, you guys don't want to be here. Like, let's go, right?
I also love the idea, and I think that you'll have a lot to say about this, of Ren being able to, like, go up to Nora and, like, understand how she feels finally. Whereas before, like, he's always had such difficulty with that. Both expressing himself.
Because he looks at himself and he sees the love, right? And so
because he can see his own, correct?
Next time he sees Nora, it's time. Let's do it.
I also like the idea of him looking at, like, I don't know,
like Blake and Yang. Lots of people want them to look at Blake and Yang, but Blake and Yang aren't repressed, right? Like, Blake and Yang, I think to some extent. Yeah, unless
it's just the emotionality.
Thing, right?
Well, wouldn't it be cute if, like, their petals intertwined or something? Like, that would be cute if you had that with them or with Nuts and Dolts. I really like the idea of, like, him looking at Crow and him looking at Raven. Just seeing all that baggage, him looking at Tai Yang, him looking at how they react to each other. It could be really interesting. It could just...
oh my god, like, what if, like, Raven has love petals and, like, Tai doesn't? Like, what if it's something like that where Raven's, like, in love with Tai and he can... God.
My heart, I don't think I could do that.
Oh,
what
God.
if they did?
Ren has so much, like, fanfic material. Like, I feel like Ren,
man.
I saw, like, so much art of Ren just pointing at characters and being like, mommy issues, like, anger management issues. Like, I saw art of that, and so I think that it's just, like, Ren has so much fanfic
he's just
material
Captain
now.
Therapy now.
Like, I feel like that people are gonna have fun with him, like, from a fandom perspective, like, writing stuff and having Ren be, like, that character.
It would be cool if he looked at Raven and saw, like, a little bit of love for Taeyang, but maybe over grief over Summer, maybe love for Summer, maybe, like, love for her brother, maybe grief over Vernal and love for her tribe. I think Taeyang, like, fear about his children, like, fear, maybe even fear for, like, Raven or longing for Summer. Crow is probably just, imagine if with Crow he's missing Clover. And you get that. That could be really great. I mean, they already kind of pointed that out with Harriet and them reacting to just even the character, the tortoise character. I forget their name. It was tortoise in Spanish. Yeah,
Tortuga.
Yeah, Tortuga. They're passing away. I think that would be really interesting. There's just so much opportunity there. Yeah. God, I'm just... I don't want him to overuse it. No. But every once, I feel like they should, because that's one thing. I think people are concerned that he's just going to walk around. I think that'll make him, like, kind of a dorky, like, as I mentioned previous, sort of, like, character that just says what everyone's thinking, rather. But I don't think they'll overuse it. I think they'll know when to use it.
I don't think they'll call out things that we don't already know. Like, we already know that Hazel wants to defect, presumably. And so if Ren is like, Hazel, you want to defect, like, I don't think that's that weird. Cause we really, already know as the audience. It's if they reveal something that we don't know that could have been done through dialogue, that's when I'll be like,
which is what they did with Tortuga.
Yeah,
to an extent, and I think that felt natural, because when you kind of, like, poke
Ren
that wound,
called out the feelings, but then Hair
yeah.
explained her feelings in depth, right? And so I feel like that it's not going to be that weird. All right, guys.
I think it's a really good idea. I'm glad that they evolved it. I'm looking forward that maybe they do it with more people.
Yeah.
I think Jean has a real
it's time.
I
mean, Jean got his semblance in Volume 5. It's a little soon for him. But I think that it's going to be very exciting. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, remember to check out the Patreon to get early access to videos like these. And you guys should also check out the Discord server so you guys can talk with us if you guys want. And yeah, that is all from us. And we will see you later. Bye, guys.